Today's episode is brought to you by Crescent Plumbing Supply. Crescent Plumbing Supply is located at 6614 Olive, just north of the Del Mar Loop. Their incredible staff is ready to help you design, select, and stay on budget. So if you go before the end of the year, be sure to mention the secret word, podcast, to get 5% off your purchase.
The Junior Bills are champs again. Coach Bobby O'Donnell and 3 members of his Class 4 soccer champs joined us to talk about the run, the chemistry, the rivalry, and what's next. With an all St. Louis sweep and state championships this year, we also got to talk about the difference between the eastern part of the state and the west when it comes to soccer dominance. Thanks for supporting the show, and AMDG, let's roll.
Good beer.
Soccer Dad Pod.
Howdy.
This is a song that
What is
there's
this?
a lot of Christmas songs out there, and
Oh my God.
not too many Hanukkah songs. So
In honor of the holidays.
Nice little Jewish kids.
You
who
like
don't
this?
get to hear
I
any
do.
Hanukkah.
I love
Here
this.
we go.
Oh my gosh, it brings back so many memories. What's so funny to me, and I think I brought this up.
Growing up Jewish?
No. Some might think so, but I didn't. But
Hold on. Here we go.
So much Hanukkah.
There we go. We're having so much fun
Funica.
today.
I think I brought this up in the Alexi Lawless interview, but I can't listen to Bon Jovi anymore because it sounds like Bon Jovi ripped off Adam Sandler. But it was the other way around, that Adam Sandler ripped off Springsteen and Bon Jovi for his musical stylings.
Yeah, Soccer Dad Pod here, rolling in with a new episode today. We're on a kick. Today's episode is going to be a blast because we're going to talk more
wait.
of St.
Can't wait.
Louis's favorite pastime, that being high school soccer. Sorry to all you baseball, football, curling fans out there. The quick thank you to helping make all this happen. Actually, we still be doing it, but we really appreciate their support. Crescent Plumbing Supply.
Oh, yeah.
6614 Olive. I'm telling you guys, it's that time of year. And the end of the year is coming, and their discount, 5%. I'm hoping we keep it going in 2025, but it's there now. So
Take advantage.
return all the kids' gifts. Go buy yourself a bidet and get 5% off.
Change your life. For
Yeah, right. At least one part of your life. So we're there. We are here at the request of our guest today. We picked up the gear, put it in the bag, two little bags. We're at Columbo's on Manchester. Thank you to Columbo's for allowing us to come and crash the speakeasy down in the basement. to
It's been
record
great.
here.
I mean, this is a great location, and can't wait to talk to our guests. And
And let's just say this too, Jared, we miss you.
big time, buddy. Big miss
We'll
today.
make it up. Make it up for you.
Yep, for sure.
I want to talk a little bit real quickly about previous episode. We had Coach Ehrenberg on. Third time for Coach Ehrenberg.
That's right.
But you know what? I don't feel bad about these multiple return guests because we're approaching 200 episodes. So
And
it's fine.
let's talk about this something. He didn't bring this up.
The
first time we talked to Ehrenberg, he hadn't gone to a state final.
correct.
And that following season, he goes to a state final. And then we have him on again, and he wins the state final.
No, there's a common denominator.
I think so.
Definitely.
I think he learned some things from us.
Well, best 11 featured players, right?
That's also true.
I talked to 4 kids that all made
Yes.
semifinals, a few winners themselves.
Yeah.
So those of you that are listening, there's good mojo coming out of this show. I do have a quick request, though. Do me a favor. If you're listening, you're a fan, 2 things. Number 1, send it to somebody else. But number 2, click follow on Spotify or Apple. It's super easy. We're not asking for any like donations to some charity or to buy us beer or anything like that. We don't even have merch yet. We might have merch that we're not asking you to buy merch that we don't have.
Not yet.
Just click follow, send it to somebody.
Although we do have merch, and it's been funny. Our boys for the Gallagher team played up in Detroit this weekend at North Farmington High School.
We have merch.
There's a sticker
Oh, stickers, yeah.
on one of the urinals
Yes.
in the restroom at the high school.
I got to
It's
be honest.
hilarious.
Wasn't me. So that means our guerrilla marketing campaign
It's working.
is working.
Yeah.
I handed out all those stickers to those kids at the Champions League game, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those guys. So if you are a facility director and you see a Soccer Dad Pod sticker on something that it shouldn't be on, I claim innocence. Thank you, kids.
We didn't tag it.
For defacing public property.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Coach Ehrenberg, Ladue, Class 3 state championship.
Congrats.
First win. Brilliant episode. I got to be honest, he's grown on me immensely from the standpoint of, that first episode with him, which, FYI, for those of you listening, it is our number one episode. It's approaching close to 5,000 downloads.
And we did that at
Obie Clark's.
In the summer.
Yeah, didn't know him, and it was long.
We didn't know him, and it got a little contentious. It was our first real dip into the high school versus academy conversation.
So in full circle, as you just pointed out, now we get to talk to him as a state champ coach. Tremendous insight. And we're going to bring this up in future episodes, but he's been nominated for a very, very big award that he's going to be honored here in St. Louis. And again, I'm teasing this. Keep listening. You'll find out.
Well, and I
extremely well-deserved.
I have so much respect for him for what he went through last season with some of the disciplinary issues and how they, overcame those to get to where they did last season. And now to even surpass that this season, it's an incredible accomplishment for that club.
So if you're a fan of soccer, period, high school soccer in particular, and you have a kid or you just like good stories about high school, motivational stories, etc., go check that episode out.
I do have a feeling that today's guest is going to also impress us.
Yeah, no, I like dipping our toes in this water.
I do too. It's been fun.
So last episode, Dave Ehrenberg, state champ, Ladue, Class 3. Go check it out. Today we're going to be talking Class 4. We're going to get in that in a little bit. But I want to do a little bit of our norm. Your name here, points of the day, points Z.
I have a couple.
What you got for me? Go.
One is big leagues, EPL. Man City is continuing to slide. They were up 3-0 yesterday in the Champions League.
Tie 3-3, right?
And they tied Feyenoord 3-3.
Yeah.
That's their sixth non-win in a row, which is, I think, a record for Pep. So I don't know what's going on there. I mean, my Tottenham team beat them 4-0, which is crazy.
Which is case in point, something's wrong. Because if you lose to Tottenham,
terribly wrong.
Bad day. If you lose 4-0,
things have gone down.
Tottenham.
Speaking of going down,
this is a family show.
There's only one Missouri school left in the NCAA soccer tournament.
Yeah, you know what? Skip. Next point.
Nope. I have to bring it up because they took down two other Missouri schools that are D1. The only two others. So UMKC is moving on to the Elite Eight. They beat SLUH at home, and they beat Missouri State at home. It's impressive. I'm not happy about it, but it is real.
I agree. And for all of you French transplants and Brazilian transplants, that's your team. So,
well,
that's the state.
Missouri State was the home
German.
of German and English and Spanish.
True. But the fact that they have English players means they're still speaking. I'm going to dip my toe in that water. Your name here, point of the day. Here's what I'm going to talk about. I mentioned it the other day, college soccer. We got games coming up this weekend. Much like kind of the Class 4 reality of high school soccer here in Missouri, in which it landed with two teams that are from the proper side of the state. You expect them to be there. SLUH De Smet, excuse me. SLUH comes out on top, as we're going to be talking to that crew here in a little bit. You're starting to look at the NCAA tournament, and it's almost as if these things are preordained.
Yeah.
Stanford, IU, Wake.
Yep.
They're all doing their job. And they're bucking the trend. Yeah, a team like UMKC, that is an outlier.
Huge outlier.
And they're doing it in a way that a lot of us, hey, look, they're not breaking rules, but they're not fun rules to really dig into.
But things are changing. I mean, I think those teams that are built that way, with where things are going from a rule standpoint, from a scholarship standpoint, roster size, I think things are going to start to change a little bit. So we'll see.
I want to kind of bring up. I'm going to get off that quickly because I don't want to get in the weeds there. Bottom line is, turn on ESPN Plus, Big Ten Network, or whoever's carrying the games. Watch these games. If you're a kid that wants to play at the next level,
100%.
or you're a parent that thinks your kid is going to play at the next level, why don't you just watch, see how they play, and
imagine your kid.
It's a good opportunity for self-reflection.
Yeah.
And I mean that in a very polite
way,
and
yeah.
encouraging way. Your name here, point two from me. We got a coach.
We did.
St. Louis City has announced Olaf from Pixar. Or no?
Olaf?
Isn't that?
No, it's
what's
Disney.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's Pixar. It's from Frozen.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness,
He was the snowman.
In all seriousness, I'm feeling this pick out of the gate. You know why? He's Swede.
He's Swedish.
He is a Swede. And
Yeah.
you know what Anderson is with an O?
Oh.
Bingo.
Yeah.
See there?
Yeah.
Feeling him. He's a brother.
It fits. I mean, listen, we are an Western European squad. I mean, Germany,
We are not a CONCACAF
Sweden,
squad.
Switzerland. No, we don't have.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a couple Brazilians in Nico, or
Pompeo.
and Klaus. But beyond that,
Whoa, Klaus. Yes, he's Brazilian, but he's heavily German influenced.
Well, yeah, his last name is certainly German. But yeah, so yes, it just fits.
Klaus even walks around like a Panzer tank.
Well, here's the thing. What sucks for Berkey,
What's that?
Olaf's a good-looking dude, and there's already chatter.
Oh, I was going to bring that up. It's so funny.
He's already taken over as like the new hot guy for the
Oh
team.
no! Soccer moms in the St. Louis area are like, "Oh my God, we have a new favorite."
Yes.
Yes. So again, if you're listening, if you're a soccer dad, go ahead and get it out of the way. Point it out to your wife, because otherwise they're going to find out on their own, and you're going to be like, "Who are you talking to?" Or,
They're going to sell jerseys of his name.
it's coming, yeah. So you said you got a couple. What's your wrap up? Your name here point.
No, that was it. I mean, I had two. I had the Man City debacle and then the UMKC. So I'm good.
Okay. Well, here's what I want to do. I want to go ahead and roll us into a little bit of a break here. I'm going to reiterate, guys. Really, it seems petty, but I'm going to ask. Click subscribe. It really, really helps.
Makes a huge difference, yeah.
Because we've got some tricks up our sleeve for 2025. And with your help, we can actually pull off some of these that will really add to the incredible guests that we've had so far. But with your support, we can even bring on more. And frankly, it will help bring us in information and specialists, et cetera, that will ultimately help our kids. So let that be the PSA of the day. Subscribe to our channels. Tell everybody else. Share the show, because as more people get into it, we're gonna bring in the goods. So, thanks for listening. We're gonna roll out here a little in honor of the holidays, some Chanukah song from Mr. Sandler, and when we come back, Bobby O.
Can't wait.
Bobby O. Junior Bill. See you on the flip side.
It's time to celebrate Hanukkah. Oh, boy, get a harmonica on this lovely, lovely Hanukkah.
St. Louis Ambush season is upon us. Be sure to get your tickets for you and your family to head out to Family Arena and enjoy some incredible, high-paced, talented soccer games. Indoor, out of the code. Go to stlambush.com to learn more. All right. We're back.
We are back.
I was trying to get a vibe, because here we are down on the lower end of Manchester.
Little fog hat.
Little fog hat. Columbos.
It feels right.
Does. Isn't this the right kind of vibe?
I feel like this is the song we should be listening to here.
I think back to like the old the barn days, right? Checkerdome days between Steamer games and the Blues with no teeth.
Oh, yeah. Well, and we have
and
Boilermakers in front of us, too.
And
kind of.
KC 95,
Yeah.
right? This just has a KC vibe to it.
I agree. Yeah.
And we're recording this on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, so technically it's a Friday. Feels like KC Friday, too.
Well, this is one of the biggest holidays in St. Louis is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving because everybody comes back home and the bars are going to be, I mean, it's 10 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday?
Yeah, something like that.
Columbus is already packed. It's going to be like this probably all day, all night.
It is the world we live in. Rolling in here, a little slow ride. Foghat had a KC vibe, kind of a champion vibe to it. I like that drive. That
Yeah.
It's like marching.
I love it.
And I can't imagine what our guest today, the El Capitan.
El Jefe.
That's right.
The gaffer.
The leader.
What does the gaffer mean? Anybody know what that means? Like, what from an English standpoint?
Now, I'd be careful looking into that because it's probably similar to their term for cigarettes. So you don't want to go there.
I mean, all I know is gaffer's tape. Like, that's so the person who puts tape on the floor.
Yeah, some rock and roll kid like, "Oh, you're a gaffer."
Yeah.
Let's put tape.
I don't
over.
think it's a derogatory. It's the English name for coach, manager, right?
Coach, you're an intelligent guy, right? You're around a bunch of smart kids. What are you thinking? Welcome to the show, Bobby O.
Thanks for having us. This is the highlight of the state championship press here that I'm finally on the podcast. I wish my buddy Jared was here. Jared, how are you?
He's you know what? Bing. Yeah, he just texted me. He's like, "You fucker."
Yeah, he is miserable right now that he's not with us today. But
in fairness, you're a busy guy.
Yeah.
You got holiday schedules. You got family. So we had to make it work when we could make it work.
Absolutely, but God, I love the podcast. I love that Jared is on it so much. I remember playing with him as a kid, and he was one of the best players on a really special team. I hope a lot of my Bush friends are going to listen to this. In the aftermath of all this, I saw Brian Castle texting or commenting on the post. I've had Pat Martin out in Washington, D.C. has reached out, and my buddy Nick and Timmy, so many guys from that Bush team are all still connected, and I'm sure we'll, and that's the power of all this stuff, right?
Well, we're going to talk about a lot of that, but I want to kind of like summarize you being here through the lens of what you're referencing a little bit, because we've been busting your chops for a while to get you on, and you kind of you played coy a little bit. To be fair, you played coy, and you're like, I don't have much to talk about. I don't have much. You don't want me on there. You win a state title, and all of a sudden, like, I got something to talk about.
I follow you the podcast, so I know what type of guests you have, and I think I just respectfully don't put myself in the category of the Pat Noonans and Taylor and Sorbs and all those guys that you've had on in the past, but. I told you if I'd ever win anything, I'll finally get on. So here we are on this Wednesday.
Quick call, and then I know here coming down the pipe here, you got some players. One of a mutual friend of ours, Mr. Dan Donegan. You're bringing in a bunch of STLDA kids that double as your SLUH leaders. Another friend that was like super looking forward to you being on this show. Along those lines, and you were just talking about all these ex-teammates of yours all over the country. Let me just ask you a super generic question. Knowing that you have a Rolodex of friends, an inner circle that are, different degrees of legends within the game and power players and influencers, et cetera, what does it mean to you generically as you zoom out and you look at, I just coached for a state championship team in the state of Missouri, the best high school soccer in the country. What does that mean to you?
That's there's so many layers to it, right? The weekend, the game was, like any game you're in, you're so involved in the game and just really competing your ass off, right? With the kids, watching the game, playing the game, and then the game is over, and it immediately goes to so many emotions, right? As the coach of it, right? I have an interesting place. I'm behind the penalties. I see the pain of the DeSmet kids. I see the pain of my old teammate Josh. There's all of that to deal with too. You're so happy, you're so proud, and then you get to your phone, and the fraternity that soccer is, it can overwhelm you. The kindness from my Bush teammates to my classmates at DeSmet, where We won a championship together in '97. So many of those guys were so happy for me. To all the guys, I think Nicky Boker sent me one of the nicest texts, just saying, how happy my St. Louis U teammates were for me. And the word is emotional because it is so overwhelming how many people that you are connected to just through the game of soccer. I wanted to become a coach really as a kid because of my club coach, Jared's coach, and I. Mr. Holmes coached a long time at Webster High School. Then I go to the SMED and I meet a guy like Coach Vitello, and I'm like, I want to do this. And for me, last Saturday, it all came together, and the result changes some things, but in some ways it doesn't. Like I would have gone to work on Monday still incredibly proud, loving what I do. But now there's this championship piece to it that is so special because you don't have to get that, right?
Do you view it, because you're name dropping in real time, and that's kind of that's really one of the fun parts of the show, because these are all living legends and they walk amongst us and they've done amazing things. When you talk about breaking through, because you're not a typical coach from the standpoint of you played with so many guys that are still coaching, that are still active, that are still clipping at high levels. You had coaches that are still coaching at high levels. Did you view it prior to, maybe prior to the season or prior to going into the playoffs this year as, the barrier to entry to validate your own kind of how you view yourself within this world? Because you're coaching at SLUH High. It is a legendary soccer school. Have you been validated with the win is really my question.
I think wins do that, and clearly I think winning does that to anybody.
Go ahead and slide that a little closer.
Sorry.
If you don't mind.
No, I think winning obviously does that. Do you need it? Do you want it? Of course, you want to be validated with results, but if anybody who is in the game of soccer approaches it that way, they're going to be let down. I remember after our loss the first time to Burroughs with our team, I think it was 2001 when we had Steven Saladin, and we won a lot of games, and we lost we just lost a soccer game in a painful way, right? We thought we had a lot of chances. We played a good opponent that day in John Burroughs, and it went their way. They countered us with about 30 minutes to go in the second half. We never got the goal. And there was that pain. I remember I think pretty shortly coming here after the game and Vader reached out. Vader at Chaminade, as you guys probably know, everybody knows Vader. Yeah. But Vader, he says, it's going to be a team that you don't expect to get you there. You cannot predict results in the game of soccer, and that is true at my level and at the highest levels of the game. So I think people in the fraternity know that. If you're a coach, you know that, and I think through and when somebody wins, I think the fraternity is so happy for them because there's not many moments that end that way, and when it doesn't, I think we all understand it too.
Well, I'm going to paraphrase a quote from my high school coach, and I want to get your take on this because I think it's a little bit of what you're describing. When I had the opportunity to talk to Coach Baker from Granite City, he talked to me a little bit about the role of his players, and he's like, typically he goes, here's the reality of the situation. Your players 1 through 4, they get you headlines, they get you press, but your players 5 through 15 win you state titles. And he's like, and to your point, the grind, the grit, the character, comes from establishing a culture within your team. Sounds as if you are of the same Jedi mindset there. So therefore, let's talk about this team. Because going into it, you had some names that were recognizable names, maybe not like powerhouse names, but you had a lot of role players, is what it felt like.
Yeah, and we're gonna be talking to 3 of them here in a little bit. Yeah. So
describe this team through that lens.
Well, Coach Baker, he was right. I would say I'm a culture guy. Like we've tried as a staff, even as a school, to build a certain culture and expectation. You're totally right in terms of what were our expectations going into the season. We didn't know, and that it's not us being, again, coy or anything. We we had to rebuild it. We lost a core of kids that won us a lot of soccer games. I think previously we won 20 games in the last 3 years, but it didn't end with the result that people wanted or expected, right? And we just were beaten those games in the district final. It's as simple as that. This year, we had to rebuild it, and we took the approach of what is the version of ourselves? What will it look like? Who are the players? What is the shape? And as the season grew, we got a little bit more sure of some of those answers. I will go back to a game against DeSmet at DeSmet where we were not at our best. We were completely outclassed by them. We were down 2-0 in the first 10 minutes of the game. We lose the game 4-0. But in that game, again, we found pieces of ourselves that needed to occur. We moved Bubba inside, which I think changed our season, certainly. Bubba he previously was playing out wide. I think you'll meet Bubba in the second part of this. From there, again, we had, I thought, a great conversation as a team. I thought the next game against CBC, we will lose the game, but I thought the first half of CBC, when we played them that Thursday at school, was one of the best halves we played. We get a goal about 20 minutes into the second half. We're up 1-0, but still the game didn't go our way. We gave up a restart. They hit a banger at the end, and we lose the game. We kept, as a group, the kids in all of that kept getting better, kept learning, right? We cannot give up restarts. Against DeSmet is outstanding on corner kicks, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
We didn't concede many. We were, that is something they usually have killed us on. Just in all those moments, we kept gaining confidence, and I would just say we knew how slim the margins were always, right? The game was always the same game. DeSmet, Kirkwood in the Champions League game. I mean, they're one goal games.
Yeah.
We had to get the goal, and we had to defend like warriors, and it all had to come together for us to win any game. And the fact that it all came together for these kids at the end of the year is really a special story. And I'm hopeful hopefully, we win again. But this team and how they won it, I don't know how many teams I'll ever have that had that grit and that culture. It's a special, special group of kids.
So I want to kind of play the JB card here for a second, which is we jumped in, you name dropped. Obviously, you and Jared have a special relationship, and I'm missing him as well, just because I know he'd have some good questions for you that would probably be maybe not safe for work or not safe
I did kind of think about that. I'm like, there's going to be a lot of high school kids.
But
my sister Mary just heard that. Mary's known Jared. She's going to laugh at that. That's great. That's great.
So I want to kind of back up a little bit because we fast forwarded to Saturday night, basically, and I think you have such a rich history of soccer in this town, but I don't know if everybody that listens to this show would know that. So can you kind of take us back a little bit to the club days and high school? I mean, we established DeSmet.
Sure.
We glossed over the fact that you went to SLUH and played there, but just kind of give us a little bit of the history of Bobby O and your first coaching stuff. So
yeah,
club,
sure.
Coaching, all that stuff.
So I was lucky enough to win a state championship with DeSmet. Played with some great players, Pat Noonan and Scotty Fan, to name a couple. Nick Garner, Mikey Ryder. He reached out. He was a great player. He went to UMKC. And then I was able to walk on at St. Louis U and had no money there. And I was just so happy to have an opportunity to go to a school like SLUH. I remember watching those teams with my dad that Joe Clark coached on that old ugly turf at St. Louis U, and I always wanted to go there. I wanted to play on the teams like that and win, and I was lucky enough to get a spot, and I loved every minute of it. We had really good teams when we were at St. Louis U. Bob Warming was our first coach, and Danny was the assistant, and When Bob decided to go back to Creighton, Mike Sorber, Danny brought Sorbs in, and we had some great teams at SLUH. Brad Davis, everybody knows Brad in St. Louis. He was one of our stars in his freshman and sophomore years. I'll never forget Dipsy Selawani. If you guys, any St. Louis U
Yep. I
people
remember that
out
name.
there, the Dip was first class. He helped us get to the Elite Eight, and we lost to Stanford my senior year in a real painful game. We lost 1-0, and again, it's one of those games. We kind of unfortunately made a mistake. Our goalkeeper hit a ball that he would never hit, and it just kind of ended up on a Roger Levesque, if you guys know him, he played at Stanford and then
Yep.
played MLS for a little bit. Hit his chest when he took it and we lose. So it's just the game. I had a great experience at St. Louis U. I always wanted to get into coaching in high school is really what I wanted. And out of college, I didn't get a job my first year. And Danny and Sorbs were gracious enough to kind of create like a grad assistant position for me where I just lived at home and went to a couple classes at St. Louis U and helped with the team for a couple years. It was awesome just to be around and kind of learn from Danny and Sorbs. And from there, I went to high school, and Charlie Martell helped me coach there. Charlie was the head coach, won a state championship, good friend of mine still today. I just coached lower level sports until I decided to move on a little bit.
Let me ask you a question
Sure.
about coaching styles. Around that time frame, spanning from Tommy Howe, Coach Vitello, and then your coaching staff, with Donegan and the rest there at SLUH. Those are big names from a coaching perspective. How would
not
you
Donegan. I wouldn't put him in that high category.
I said it because he's going to listen.
That's true.
And he's going to, thanks, guys.
Sure.
But
Just kidding, Dana.
But I'm really interested in Vitello,
Mm-hmm.
your experience in high school, because coaching super high level club is a unique beast. Fast forwarding to college, and the massive onus to win and recruit and be big and be on TV. That's a whole other set of responsibilities as it applies to coaching. But high school is, especially in St. Louis, kind of like a unique crown jewel. Talk about your experience in high school, specifically from your interpretation or your memory of Coach Vitello and his impact or influence or lessons that maybe you've procured and applied today.
Absolutely. I told him this once, and I'll say it here in the air. Like, besides my father, he probably has had the most influence of any person I've ever encountered in my life. He was a guy who just had incredibly high standards for every person he encountered and his teams, and you had to meet those standards to succeed. It was something, he lived that way. His teams played that way. I think it's harder to coach that way today, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But 100%, I try to hold these kids that I coach to a high standard. He was such a competitor. He is such a competitor. And those lessons are things that I cherish so much, and I learned from him. I think I said this in the paper, but it's 100% true. On Friday morning, when I woke up and we played that night, my first text, he texted at 6-something in the morning, was Coach Vitello and wishing me luck and telling me again just to control the things I can control. And
Did he text you on Saturday knowing who you were playing?
Yes, he did.
Oh, did he?
Absolutely.
Was it voodoo?
No, that's probably one of the best things about coaching when you have the boys on later. I can't wait to hear what they say, and we're just so proud of them. And years later, coach is still rooting for me, still teaching me, still coaching me, and that's something I think is unique in high school athletics. He's my high school teacher, my high school coach. It wasn't we were together for 9 months and now I'm moving on to the next guy who's going to do whatever he thinks he's going to do, right? I think coaching was different. Mr. Holmes coached us from 12 to 20-something, right? Everyone says that model is a bad model now. We've got to go from group to group and coach to coach. But for me, It was a great model.
Well, I think there's some success to back that up.
Yeah.
I mean, you name dropped several people, but gee, Merry Christmas.
Well, Brad talks about it. Has talked about it with us on air.
Yeah.
Talked about Tommy Holmes and the binders of lessons and drills, and it's just a different kind of mindset, which leads me into maybe a follow-up question here. How would you describe your style as a coach, as it relates to the influence that Tommy had, that Coach Fratello had, et cetera? I mean, I have to assume the generic answer is going to be, well, it's kind of a hybrid of all of it. But can you give like one or two examples of what you've really stolen and used to your benefit?
Yeah, I think this year, if you watched our team, I would hope people said or would say that we're incredibly organized in the back. So I remember Coach Vitello before flat back fours were when like people played with sweepers. If you're,
Oh, yeah.
It was he was
Sweepers and
pretty
stoppers.
ahead.
1-4-4-1.
And the way he organized and taught movement and compactness and things like that. I think if you watch the game on Saturday, our defending was pretty good, and that is a result of how we wanted to play. I've tried to build the teams, soundly from the back. When we want to be good in transition moments. I am I'm not. I would adapt any shape to for the success of the group, but I think if Coach watched that game on Saturday, I think he would see a lot of principles defensively that he taught us, 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Go ahead, Zach.
I'm just in awe of just watching your face, and it's something I try to illustrate on the mic a little bit, is the emotion. But for you, Bobby,
Well, let me say something to you, Zach, real quick
Yeah.
about that, because I see the same thing. My take is looks and feels like he knows he's part of a club.
yes, and it's so interesting for me because you can replay, and I can see it replaying in the front of your eyeballs. Every play that you're describing, you can see it clear as day. And the memory you have of the players that you were with and the friends that you had and the coaches that were there, it's so palpable. And it's why I think, Jared speaks so highly of you and has for so long. I can see it. And, I'm looking forward to talking to your players because I'm sure they're going to have good things to say about you. But, I mean, Bobby, this is such a cool moment for you and in your career, but it didn't have to happen.
Absolutely.
Meaning people would say the same things about you without the championship, but the championship's kind of a nice little, oh, that's cool. I like that. I'll put that star on the crest.
Well,
for sure.
the icing is now buttercream.
Yeah. But so my question for you is, the passion is obviously there, and we just talked to, a couple weeks ago, we talked to Pete Sorber, who's 95 years old, and you referenced his son multiple times, who had an impact on your life, and he's having an impact on mine right now. When you think about the Tommy Holmes and the Vitellos and the Sorbers and the Donegans, did you take just elements of each one of them, or did you? You talked about Vitello, but I mean, who do you kind of try to pattern after, or did you just say, you know what, I'm just going to take the best of these guys and run with it?
I think for me, I think if you met me, you would hopefully call me a pretty authentic person. So I think I'm different than all of those guys, but certainly I have learned and taken. If my pregame for my SLUH buddies who are listening, it's Danny's stuff from Kelly Auditorium. We go in, we watch soccer. The opponent and their points, and then our points, and then the starters are to the right, and it's on a whiteboard. There are things that are 100% taken from them. Philosophically, Sorbs, I've used this quote for years, and I remember he had this concept of there's no big game, right? And it sounds kind of provocative, but and then you talk about the mentality you need, right? There is, certainly it probably felt different on Saturday with 2,000 people and more was on the line, but when we were playing Kirkwood and playing earlier against Marquette and down a goal, those same things needed to happen that night than that we needed on Saturday. And philosophically, I've taken a lot from Sorbs, and even on my staff, I have unbelievable assistant coaches. When I was a young high school coach, Chris Kenny is a guy that I met through Joe Clark. Joe Clark is one of the best guys in soccer. He hired me when I was 18 years old to work his camps and became one of my dear friends. And I met CK as a young guy at those camps, working those, and Timmy Strange, and my staff. I have Tom Champion and Rock Roan, guys that have won championships and coached in college.
Yep.
I met them through Joe Clark soccer camp, and again, just to grow that fraternity. But to go back to CK, when I was thinking about if I ever get the job at SLUH, or if I ever get a job at one of these programs, who would I want to coach with? And I always thought of CK. And when he retired from Marquette, the timing was almost perfect for me. We coached against each other for a couple years. He retired from the Rockwood School District, and he was looking to kind of do something less, like he wanted to help somebody. And 100% we don't win without Chris Kenny and Jay Zaber, again, another St. Louis U guy that I've just met through the soccer fraternity. He played with Sorbs and those guys in the early 90s. There's a big St. Louis U feel to it. My other assistant, Robbie Carr, played at Rockhurst College, and I taught Robbie as a teacher at St. Louis U High. I couldn't be more proud of my staff, but I think our kids, are coached by unbelievable guys that all bring something a little bit different.
So I got a very, excuse me, a difficult question. Same question as I mentioned earlier. Previous episode we had Coach Ehrenberg from Ladue on, and I held his feet to the fire. And I'm going to premise this because in those multi-kid households, all parents say they love all their kids equally, but the truth is there's always one. You got your first star, your personal first star. And we won't tell the kids coming up here in a little bit. Look at your team and talk about there's a player in the team. I have to assume within your heart that you're like, damn, this kid, I'm so happy for him. Maybe an integral part. This is the desert island question. Can you name that player, and more importantly, why?
Okay, that's a good question. And I don't really want to answer it.
I know, but I think. But here's the deal: you've got SLUH High kids on your roster.
Yeah.
They are very, very smart, very, very empathetic, and they're going to understand your answer.
Okay, I look at a kid like John Hassmeyer, who's a senior, who played. To my varsity guys, my seniors, we didn't really take anybody early. But John is a kid who was hurt at the end of the last year, and this year all of a sudden his role was kind of maybe even undefined in terms of where he's going to play and does he start and all these different things, and then in about the middle of the year he gets. We find the right role for him, and his game takes off, and he scores on senior night, and I couldn't be more happy for him and his family. The goal Bubba scored against Burroughs at the end of the game will be something I'll never forget. I'm so happy for him, but I'll be curious to hear what the kids say.
Well, because I'm going to.
I hope they all feel like
I'm going to
they're my
ask them
favorite,
who's your
but-
coach on a desert island, and I wonder who they're going to say.
I don't know who this group would say. Now, last year, I think everybody would say I like Christian Throw the most. But Christian, I hope you and your dad are listening too. But
Well, let me zoom out. Let me zoom out and take you. I'll take you off the hot seat for a second. I want to talk about St. Louis soccer, high school soccer in particular, from a more generic standpoint as we get ready to wind this down a little bit. I've debated some of my peers that are also old school soccer nerds here, and I've made the case, and I firmly believe that due to the acceleration and the growth of academies, the lack of some of those kids playing high school soccer, the uptick in quality of coaches across the board, the expansion of clubs that are all doing a great job of developing players. I would argue that today is the toughest time ever to win a high school state championship because the parity has completely spread out. Because in our childhood, right, on the east side, it was real simple. Whoever won between Granite and Collinsville, you're going to state, right? And in your years, you had the Big Four.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that way anymore.
Nope.
So
way.
give me your state of the union as it applies to the competitive nature of soccer in general, but primarily high school soccer in St. Louis today.
And why was it so good to not see a single Kansas City team?
That was hey, don't steal my thunder, dude. We are totally going down that road.
There is. You guys are totally right. You know, the perception though still might exist by some people who don't know the game as well as you that there's still only these few teams. That it cannot be further from the truth, right? Even when, you know, when we lost to Burroughs. It was like, how could you lose to Burroughs? And I'm like, have you seen them play? To know their coach. I mean, they're very
Why
good.
are you losing to all these venture capital kids? Is that real?
You know, when we play, the public school teams, right, are so capable. The best every team has a kid like, oh, who is that? You know, so you're totally right. The quality of soccer is great. The games are all competitive. We even have conversations as a staff. Do we play too many games, right? In terms of, you know, like, because how many competitive games can they physically take on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, right? Like, that's kind of the rhythm that we fell into. But I think the high school soccer, you know, it is tremendous. My son plays for Timmy Leonard, and I cannot tell you how good I think those kids are. And when I watch those and I go back to my teams when we were youth soccer players, I'm like, they're not as good. We weren't as good as them, you know?
Hey, say that again because Jared's listening, and I debate this with him all the time.
I'm curious.
The
We were pretty good, though, Jared.
You guys were good, but the 1%ers today versus the 1%ers then, I think it's a different beast.
I just think the game has grown so much, right? The facilities are so much better. The coaching, though we received great coaching, there's so much more of great coaching everywhere.
I just had an epiphany.
Does it can't have anything to do with KC?
No, it doesn't.
Okay,
it's Lenny. That's who, when you speak and talk about the past and talk about the people that you surrounded yourself with. And
he sounds like Tim Leonard.
Yes. And he's one of my favorite people in the world. So that's probably why I'm like, oh my, yeah. Anyway,
well,
sorry.
That's a compliment too. Timmy Leonard's a great guy and a great coach and a part of the St. Louis youth soccer family that I'm so blessed to be a part of. And no, I take that as a compliment.
Well, let's have a little fun here before we let you go. Gotta talk smack. I mean, it's really my calling card. Going into the playoffs, because you follow us on Twitter, you see our page. Yeah. You see that we are clearly not increasing friendly relations with the west side of the state. I started calling them out because they were all touting this number one in the nation team going into the playoffs. And, you know, and again, when you peel the onion back, we all know the truth. You know, the number of kids that St. Louis region loses to academies that can't play high school is of approximately 250 kids. The number in Kansas City on the Missouri side is maybe 20, 15, 20. It's like, number one, that's different. Number two, Rockhurst is on an island, right? The MCC here, we have 6 Rockhursts, right? So there's a lot of decapitation that occurs naturally, cannibalism. So going into the playoffs, how much fun did you have rooting for the Rockhurst, the Kansas City, just kind of see you guys? Because you can admit it, there's an arrogance within St. Louis soccer as it pertains to. Come on, man, we're on the record.
I'm not going there. I'm not going there because I honestly.
Can I go there for you?
I wasn't sure. You know, like for us, it was just about playing Liberty North, and I wasn't sure about the winner of the other game. I knew either team would be a huge challenge. Rockhurst, I have wanted to play them in the last few years. We've got a ton of respect for them.
Here's what's going to happen.
How did you say that with a straight face?
No, here's what's going to happen. We got
Darby.
to get the Champions League in Kansas City, which I think is starting to get some of those teams.
Yeah.
You guys win the Champions League here next year, SLUH High.
Okay.
And then we do an interstate game, not state, Rockhurst versus SLUH High
Columbia, Missouri.
in Columbia.
Columbia, Illinois.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm in.
All right.
Bobby, you had something to talk about today, man.
Yeah, finally.
You did. Listen, you
He's,
had stuff to talk about way before Saturday.
I see all these red messages and rare replies. I'm like,
Yes.
come on, dude.
I have one final question.
Sure.
I know you probably had, it took you 2 hours to get to the texts and messages after Saturday night. But there was somebody you probably called. Was there anybody that you called because they weren't watching or they weren't there? Was there anybody that you were like, I this is the person I need to talk to and let them know? Was there anybody like that?
That's a great question. No. It was, to be honest, everybody who was, everybody was just so happy and, excuse me, supportive. I don't know. No.
I set you up for that.
You set me up. The people know I'm an emotional mess, and they were trying to get me to cry the whole time. I told myself I wouldn't, but no. The overwhelming support came. I mean, I think I talked to everybody. People I haven't connected with in years. It was a pretty special night. My sister was there. Chris Knopp's dad was there. Sat with my sister. People that have meant a lot to me for a long time. Everybody was there.
Well, that tells me everything I need to know because the fact that you didn't have to reach out to anybody, they all reached out to you, says they were rooting for you from day one.
He texted Jared. Like I told you so.
No, I know what Jared. Yeah, no, it's such a pleasure to meet you, and hopefully we get to hang out at some point. But this has been great, and I can't wait to meet your kids. And good luck next year.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, Bobby, I really appreciate it. We're going to bring your kids on in a little bit. Let's see if they concur with all of your immaculate insight. But congratulations. Good luck with number 2 next year, man.
Yeah, no kidding.
Sounds good. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Have a great
buddy.
holiday.
Be good.
Thanks.
You too.
Cheers. All right. Ross.
If you are looking to more effectively navigate the college path to playing time, Tony Delafeld and Prospect to Player can help. Check out Prospect to Player on Twitter or Instagram and look at the real-world connections he's made between players and programs from JUCO to D1 and more.
A little funky dissonance in that one.
You like that?
Yeah.
I hear kids like it. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, we'll see.
Second half of this SLUH High
Love Fest.
Championship Love Fest. Now that we got the old guy out of the way, we're bringing in the hammers, the muscle.
The ones that got him here.
Yeah. The ones that did all the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Joining us today, a couple junior bills, men for others, right? I'm going to read this off left to right. I wrote it down because I'm horrible with names. Don't take it personally, guys. I've got James Barry, Jr., SLU Bill, John Hessmeyer, Senior, almost a senior Bill. You're still a junior Bill right now, right? And Nicholas Hammond, one of, how many Hammonds are there? There's like 13, 14?
Something like that.
A lot. I'm a Webster guy too, so I see your mom running all around. Yeah. Which was really my first question for you in particular. Does your mom jog to get away from you guys or for health purposes?
Well, she always comes back to the same place, so I think it's health purposes.
First and foremost, congratulations, guys. State champs. You get another star on that jersey. I'm going to start with you, Nick. You've been there all 4 years. You've some competitive teams, a lot of super competitive opponents. You've seen other people lift the trophy. Senior year, it's all winding down. What did it mean to you to hear that buzzer go off and knew that this your last hurrah is a championship one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one super big on like emotions, so I still can't really wrap my head around it. It's just kind of crazy to think like it took 20 years and we won a state championship, and then also ending the season beating a team that we lost to twice this season and also a few times in past seasons. So, I mean, a great way to end it, and I mean, I still just need to continue processing it to really feel all of the emotions.
So you haven't really had your I'm going to Disneyland moment yet?
No.
No, okay. I'm going to jump over to John, the fellow senior at the table here. Same question, man. Year 4, it's all over now. Only you ended it on with a W, the biggest W you could get. What does it mean to you, man?
It means everything. This is what I've built up to all 4 years here. It's really a dream come true. My brother, it's like all we could imagine when we first went to SLUH, and it's just I'm really proud of us that we were able to get it done.
Brother, you said brother, older brother, younger brother?
Older.
So is he already graduated? Did he go there, or is he a senior as well?
He graduated from SLUH. Now he goes to SLUH University. He's a sophomore there.
So for the two of you then, real quick, let's talk about bragging rights in the household because you have siblings that were also alum, but they don't have one of those stars.
Nope.
What kind of trash talk went down Saturday night with the siblings?
Whole bunch of it, and with my dad. My dad played soccer. He actually lost in district finals his senior year, so I kind of.
So are you going to make them all cut your turkey?
Yeah,
on Thanksgiving?
yeah. They're going to work for me now. Yeah.
We got the junior here. Can I call you JB? You cool with that?
Yeah, Bubba's fine.
Bubba, you're leaning to the mic there a little bit. Bubba, you're the junior at the table. You got one more year. I'm going to ask you a different kind of question. Number one, I'm assuming obviously you had a great time winning. It's probably super emotional, but now you carry the weight of the repeat. That's the goal, right? So when you look to your senior year, what's the first thing going through your mind having come off a championship season?
Obviously, still want to celebrate the one we're looking at now, but a repeat would be, amazing. But there's a lot of steps we got to go through to get there. We got to start in the summertime. That'll be a big time to work really hard, and I think where we built a lot of ground this year as a team and kind of build the team as like our we'll become the senior leaders now, so we kind of have to take after them and try and be good leaders for the underclassmen and show people what SLUH soccer really is.
I love it. Zach?
Yeah, just a question. So you guys, John, you and James, or you and Nick are both seniors, and this is your 4th season with the Junior Bills. What do you think was different this year than the previous 3 that allowed you guys to get to this point?
For me, I think the team was just more unified. Like, I did my best to talk to all of the guys. I think that Bubba and John did the same. Like, we were all just very connected with the guys on the field, guys that were on the bench too. Just had a lot of fun that way, and then we were able to fight for one another on the field and just have a lot of fun that way. So.
All right.
I think we're just a hungry group. Like, I've read articles. I've heard people say that like we're not the best team, or even our class is not the best class to go to SLUH in a while, and we kind of wanted to prove everybody wrong, and we really fought hard for it.
So you kind of took an underdog
Yeah.
approach and used that as a little bit of a motivator.
Yeah.
All right.
Would you guys say that the whole moniker of underdog is really kind of a byproduct of being a junior Bill? Because when you do walk through the halls there, across all sports, there's just trophy after trophy after trophy, state championships galore, right, across the board. In soccer being so embedded, in the culture there. Was it one of those things as you were progressing through the season, because you a little bit of an up and down season, you had a couple games that, you gave up, right? But you move into the districts and things start clipping. Did you add a different kind of pressure because of the expectation? Was there a certain amount of fear, or were you just confident going into the playoffs?
I was just confident. Like, I kind of played like carefree, and when I play carefree, it just helps me play even better because I don't really worry about my mistakes. I just worry about like focusing on how I can play, and that just helps me play the best I can.
Yeah, you said, did we feel like pressure from expectations? I felt like it's the opposite. One of my teachers actually said this. He was like, usually in the past we have like high expectations for these teams, and they kind of let us down, but you guys are like proving us wrong this year, and I feel like it gave us more of a drive.
Wait. Was it because they had low expectations for you?
I don't
or
know.
were you
They didn't have the same.
Because you guys are pretty smart. You're like, hold on, Teach. What are you really saying?
Yeah.
James, let's get to you, Bubba. So, kind of along the lines of what we were just talking about, like for you personally, because I have to assume the fact that you're here at the table now, that you're probably going to be a leader going into next year. What did you really learn, though, like as you go in next year? Because as the new freshmen come in, because it's really a huge group effort. Inevitably, you're going to be playing with a lot of guys that you were with this year, but there's going to be new faces. As an experienced state champion now going into his senior year, how would you have you thought about how you're going to lead your new teammates or motivate, or what you would like to focus on?
Yes, I've thought about it a lot, and one thing I've really want to focus on is how we, throughout the team, like no matter what age you are, or like what year you are in school, like you can hold someone else accountable. I felt like a problem with the team we had last year is we kind of had some seniors that we thought, like a lot of the underclassmen thought, they're like seniors, like they know what they're doing. We don't necessarily need to yell at them. And then like this year, if someone made a mistake, like if John made a mistake or him made a mistake, we had a sophomore like Patty Byrne. He's a pretty vocal guy, and he'll be yelling at someone, and it just kind of shows like we just wanted the best for our teammates, and we didn't really care, and we knew it wasn't personal. So as a team, we were really like tight together in that way.
So I love that. What you're really talking about is managing up, right? Isn't
Yes,
that the corporate term, managing
the corporate
up?
term.
And as you said that, the senior at the table, Hammond, sits there and shakes his head like, you better not, dude.
Nah.
Like,
I was just saying I don't make mistakes, but I was kidding.
hey, let's talk about some of the team in general. One in particular, I'm a huge fan of this kid. I love the family. We've known him for a while. Let's talk about your goalie, Cole. He, obviously he wasn't there last year. He was an academy player, was given a lot of opportunity to continue his academy pathway. He chose to mix it up, came to be a junior bill on the pitch, gets in nets. Talk about Cole in general from a season perspective, and then we can talk about the big game. Go ahead.
For me, I see Cole as a leader. Like Bubba was saying, like he's younger than me and him and Bubba, and but he's like not afraid to like encourage us. Like he'll get up during halftime talks and he'll add something, and so I just like I see him as a leader, and I'm really excited to see what else he can bring.
Hammond, to you, let's talk about on the field as a player, as a keeper. What stood out for you as the senior looking at this sophomore goalie doing what he was doing?
I mean, him being a sophomore, like that doesn't really affect him at all. Like he's still, as Bubba was saying before, he holds all of us to a high standard. Like if I make mistakes, then he encourages me to do better. If somebody has a bad clearance, he encourages them to do better. I mean, yeah, like just a really great guy in general, and I mean, an amazing goalie. It's crazy to think that soccer's his second sport as well. So.
Have you guys seen him play baseball?
I have not. I'll need to go to a few baseball games.
He's not
this
too
year,
bad.
so.
Bubba, do you state championship final match, DeSmet, age-old rival, goes to PKs. Talk about the first save. When you saw Cole put his hands on that first save, what's going through your head? With no time left on the clock.
There's just no better feeling in the world. In the rivalry like that, there's so much tension, and almost as he was going to kick the ball, it felt like the entire stadium went silent for the first time all night, and just it looked like he had it from like right off the bat. There was never a point after he kicked the ball. I just felt like he saved it. I was like, it was just so happy and felt happy for him. And then when he was yelling at the student section after, like pumping everyone up. It was pretty great.
John, to you, the second save. Because, I mean, I'm sure you know minute by minute, second by second, how that felt. What'd you think when you put the second one out?
At that point, I was like, yeah, we're going to win this. Honestly, right when we went to Pens, I was so confident in Cole that we were going to get it done, because same thing happened in districts, and I was just confident in us. We had been practicing them, the penalties, and especially after the second save, it was a sure thing for me.
Do we have any takers here? Hassmeyer,
Yep.
Which way did you go?
I always go right.
Are you righty?
Yeah.
And you always go right?
Yep.
That's why you're my favorite at this table. It's not that difficult, right? Just if you're righty, go right.
Simple.
There you go. I love it. Go ahead, Zach.
Now, so we talked about Cole. I have a kind of a tough question for all three of you. And a theme on this show has been, for the last 2 years, academy versus high school. And we just talked about Cole leaving the academy to come play for SLUH. And that's happening more and more frequently as guys go up to an academy or over to the high school or bouncing things around. As a team, what are your thoughts when players either leave for an academy or come back from an academy? Does that help, hurt? Like, I'm just really curious from a high school perspective, from the player perspective, because we talk to coaches. They tell us what they think.
Yeah, I mean, getting all the parent opinion of the politics of the movement is one thing, but I think what Zach is leaning into, the politics of the kids, you know, especially because St. Louis is a unique town. We have talent everywhere.
Yep.
So as the kids are fluid, you know, what do you guys have an opinion on that, one way or the other?
I think it depends the most on the personality of the player. Like, if they're willing to, like, be a part of the team, then I think it can really help, especially with their typical, like, really good abilities. But if they think they're just better than every player on the team, and then they're just kind of like an outcast, like they think they're the Lionel Messi of the team. And I've seen it on a couple MCC teams, just they think they're the best player, and then it ends up hurting the team in the long run.
How do you manage that? Because my son went to SLUH too, so I'm kind of familiar of the brotherhood through him, and kind of the camaraderie that is naturally ingrained in the school, but within teams as well. You know, as a soccer player myself, it's a different kind of brotherhood, right? I think about the movie Miracle. You guys seen Miracle, right?
Oh, yeah.
You remember the scene where the hot kid comes on the bus and all the players are pissed off because they're like, hey, coach, he's not one of us? Is it kind of that until they are, or are you more open-armed? To your point, maybe Hammond, follow up on what you were just talking about, because you've had a number of players. Is there a conversation, or do you let the playing do the talking?
I'd probably just let the playing do the talking. Like, I don't think since they're new you should automatically write them off, and I just think it's important to see how they become a part of the team, and if they decide like not to be and just want to be by themselves, then it's definitely hurtful to the team.
Switching gears a little bit, one of my favorite topics is rivalries, hatred, right? As a Granite City kid, Collinsville was scum of the earth. They still are. I'm almost 50, and those people are still scum. And that's the way it's always going to be. You are SLUH High Junior Bills that play soccer and now have a state championship title, right? What happens in that process inevitably is you have memories and you have rivals. Who's the big one? Is it the one you just took down? Is it another one? Or is there multiple? Do you just line them all up? Hassmeyer, you first, man.
Gotta be DeSmet. Without a doubt.
Gotta be.
Yeah.
What do you think about it? Do you think about it more now that you've won, or do you relish the rivalry? How do you view it?
I feel I'm kind of, my season's over, so I feel like I kind of ended it for me, but like, I don't know. I feel like that tension will always be there, but right now, I have the upper hand, and I'm gonna walk away with the upper hand.
Let's go to the junior, because you've got another year of being gifted the privilege to hate another team. Do you view it that way? How do you view a rivalry?
I view the rivalry pretty majorly. I think if you ask, anybody on our team, like, who are we playing, when are we playing them, I think DeSmet in the state final, I don't think you could draw it up any better. So to kind of get that major upper hand on them, especially after they beat us 2 times during the season, just kind of feels so great. And then looking forward to next year. We're just hoping we can maybe get some more MCC dominance during the regular season and, beat some of the other rivals also.
Yeah, so I brought up the Champions League earlier, which you guys participated in this year, the inaugural. What was your experience from a player standpoint in the Champions League, and how did that compare to kind of the regular season and leading into the playoffs? Any thoughts there, or was it just another game?
Hammond, you first.
I think it was mainly, for me, like another game, especially since it was all pool play.
Yep.
If we would have made it farther, I think it would have changed. What do you guys agree?
Yeah.
Is that something you guys are looking forward to, James, for next year to do better in the Champions League and add to your trophy collection?
Yes, definitely. It would be nice to, win that throughout the season. But also we know, like, if things go wrong throughout the season, we're just building to that final goal until November. So that it kind of sees every game as a ability to grow until, the big one in the fall.
Good.
So.
Love it.
So club ball, guys. I want to go back to that just a little bit. Not the head-to-head, but really your own club experiences now. We got 2 seniors. You're done with your high school career. What's the clubs that you guys are currently playing at? And for the 2 seniors, do you have aspirations, plans, a strategy to play at the next level? And if so, have you made that decision, or are you still looking? Hammond, you first.
Yeah. You want me to say the club team I'm on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on Gallagher ECNL RL, and I'm playing college soccer at Washington University here in St. Louis.
Heard of them. So
So
are you a smart kid? Is that like,
Somewhat.
are you one of those look at these apples kind of kids? Yeah. He's like, yeah, look at him. How about you, Asmar?
Well, I played for St. Louis Development Academy, but I played for Goga, but all those guys graduated, so right now I'm kind of without a team, so I'm still looking for one.
Well, you got a resume now, man. You
Yeah,
say, hey, look,
yeah.
you want a state champ? I got one for you.
Yeah.
Are you looking at playing in college? Are you kind of in the process, out of the process?
It's a bit late now, because I'm already applying to all my schools, but if the opportunity comes, I'd definitely love to take it.
Do you envision yourself, let's say you go to a school for purely academic reasons, which is weird to me these days, right? But would you play club ball?
Yeah, definitely.
You've got time, Bubba. Mm-hmm. You have the privilege of a little bit longer runway. Are you already looking, not that you're looking past next season, but are you envisioning the next experience beyond high school soccer? And what club are you currently at, by the way?
I currently play for St. Louis Development Academy, and I played for Coach Beck last season. And I haven't been looking too far forward. I'm still kind of, a little stuck on this season. Kind of want to relish it a little bit more. But I would be interested in playing in college if the opportunity presents itself. And, hopefully maybe trying to get an academic school like Hammond, like a smart school. So that'd be pretty great.
That's awesome. So I have just one closing question for myself. As you guys look back, specifically to the championship night, what was there, 2,000 people there roughly? I mean, it was a packed house, probably the biggest crowd you've ever played in front of, I'm assuming. Final buzzer goes off, you go to PKs, last one sails. I'm going to go right to left here. Hammond, you first. First memory that you think about when you think of that night, what's the image? Were you looking at your mom and your dad? Were you looking at your buddies? What was the first thing that went through your head when you realized I'm a state champ?
I think it was probably that dog pile that we had at the end of the game, just storming Cole. I think that'll probably be the memory I have, because we did that same thing in the Burroughs game, right? So I think that just like whenever we win, I think that'll be what I think of.
John, what about you?
Well, when it first happened, I couldn't really process what was happening. Like I ran to the dog pile, but it still hadn't hit me, I think, until we went to the student section, and they were all hugging us and like saying how great it was that we got it done. And I think that's when it really hit me, and I think that's what I'll remember and take away.
I'm going to circumvent you, Bubba, before you answer. I'm going to move your day. You wake up Sunday morning. What's the first thing you think about as a state champ?
I couldn't believe.
And you can't say dog pile.
I would say the picture on the scoreboard. They put SLUH Junior Billikens Class 4 state champions, and as the student section in all blue was standing under it, and it was a really cool image to kind of remember for a long time, and that's really the thing I keep remembering. Keep thinking back to that picture, and just that's when I really knew, like, we did it. That's kind of when it set in.
I love it. Go ahead, Zach.
That's awesome. I don't really have any further questions. Just I'm proud of you guys, proud for your school, proud for your students and your coach and coaches. And you guys have a lot to be proud of, and it's such a cool feeling. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well done, boys. This is called media training. You can add this to your college resumes, all right? Congratulations, guys. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Zach will be back. Thank you, people.
Thank you.
Really, really feel